Hi everyone, it's Christine here from Ever After Paper Crafts, and today I have this super fun little bunny scene to share with you. This is the card that I created. The sentiment says sending you hugs, and I've created a little scene here using some distress inks and distress oxide inks, created a cloud background, some grass, and just a cute little bunny rabbit scene. This stamp set is called Some Bunny Special, and it's from Simon Says Stamp, and I didn't get a chance to play with it at Easter time, but I wanted to show you that you can really use these images all year round, that they're really versatile. And here I just made just a little kind of thinking of you, sending you hugs type of card. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that I did was I cut out 2 rectangles using the largest rectangle stitch die from the small rectangle stitch die set from Lawn Fawn. And the reason that I cut out 2 was because I used 1 to cut out my grass. So here's one of them, and I just want to show you how I would have laid out my grass. It's kind of like the beach scene that I did a couple of videos back with the Mama Elephant designs. Similar idea. So I took, this is just a simple grassy hillside die. It comes 3 come in a pack from Lawn Fawn. I lined it up along the bottom of the rectangle, cut it out. I was left with this piece right here. Then I used this same piece of cardstock, moved it up, taped it down with some low stick tape, and I'm left with this cutout. And what I'm going to do is layer these on top of each other so you won't even see this bottom rung of grass. So it's going to look something like this. And we'll cut off the bottom little rungs that are sticking out, the little blades that are sticking out the bottom. But first we want to ink this in a nice green. And just to show you, this is the rectangle that I cut them out of, and this is what I had left. So I'm going to save this. This is nice Bristol Smooth cardstock, and I can save that for stamping images at a later date. So let's go ahead and ink up our grass. I'm going to bring some scratch paper over. And all I used for the grass is Distress Ink Mowed Lawn. And all I did was nothing fancy here. I didn't even spritz these with water. I just wanted to create a fun, summery kind of scene. So I just took the distress inks and carefully, so I didn't bend my the blades of grass, I just carefully inked over this panel. Okay, that looks good on that particular blade of grass. Now we just need to do this last one and we'll be all done with our grass, and then we get to create the super fun cloud background for our sky, and I will show you how to do that in a moment. So just very carefully ink these blades of grass with whatever ink you have. It doesn't have to be exactly what I used. I just really like the Mowed Lawn Distress ink. It's just a really bright, summery, cherry green. Okay, so we are done with the mowed grass. We can go ahead and put that away. Now, to create the sky, we're going to bring our main panel over. This is just that the largest rectangle die from the small stitch rectangle set. And I am using this stencil, which is a must-have in my opinion. It's very inexpensive. It's like $6, and it's from My Favorite Things, and it's just called Cloud Stencil. And it makes creating these clouds that you see here in the finished card so easy. So easy. I've tried, scallop circles for this technique before, and I just haven't had anything that works this cool. So let me show you how to use this stencil here. I like to start from the bottom and work my way up. I just find that works a little bit easier. So I have it down, and I'm going to put my hand here on the actual stencil. I'm using Broken China Distress Oxide ink, and I'm going to start my circular motion on the stencil and bring it up into my white panel. And make sure that your hand is firmly holding the stencil in place over your cardstock. Now, I'm going to turn it. You don't have to turn it. You can keep it on the same side, whatever you want to do. For a little bit of interest, I'm going to turn mine just to show you what that would look like. And again, I'm going to start on the stencil itself and just ink a little bit above the stencil. And now I'm going to go back to where I was initially, the first one, ink again, and I'm going to start on the stencil itself and then move on to the cardstock. So I only did three runs on this, and look how pretty. Look what you get there. Isn't that beautiful? It's so pretty. It's such a beautiful blended look to your clouds. I just love it. And each time you do it, it's going to look a little bit different, which is kind of cool. This is what the original card looked like. I was a little less heavy-handed with the inking on this one. This one you have a little bit of a bluer sky, so it's just really cool. You can get so many different looks using that stencil. And then just a quick tip for cleaning your stencil. Let me just set this aside, bring the stencil back over, and I'm going to grab some baby wipes. These are just unscented alcohol-free baby wipes. The Target generic brand is what I use. I'm going to keep it on my scratch paper, and I'm just going to wipe it off. Now, you could also use water. You could use, you know, probably stamp cleaner, but I find that this works great, and it's super easy, and I have it right here at my desk, so I don't have to run to a sink to clean it off. Okay, so we are all done with that and with our background. So now it's time to do some coloring. I used my zigs for all the coloring that you're going to see. And I went ahead and just stamped kind of one of each image. You'll see in the card, I did several carrots and a few flowers. I only stamped one of each of those just for time, to save some time on the video. But I am using my water brush, have your paper towel handy, and some zig markers. And I only used a few colors, and I'll go through them as we color. For the bunny, I used gray brown, and then I used a peach pink for his little nose. And those are the only two colors that I used for the bunny. So let me go ahead and quickly color him. And I'm going to do this very quickly because I just want to show you how you can literally get away with just scribbling on some color, not paying too much attention, just very quickly scribbling on some color where you believe it's going to be a little bit shaded, and then use your water brush to do all the work. So see what this looks like here? It's very, I just have kind of put some lines there, really, just some scribbly lines. That's all I did. And I'm going to take my water brush, and I'm just going to work in a circular motion and pull this color up so that I get a nice shaded gray bunny. It's so easy to do, and I just love the end results. So here we go. We're just bringing this in a circular motion, bringing the color up into the, or down, whichever direction, into the white spaces so that the whole bunny gets filled in, but you still have shaded areas, some areas that are darker than others. So it has a pop, you know, it pops the image. It makes it look more realistic. And just a little bit more pleasing to the eye than if he was just one solid color. And let me get his little foot here. And there you go. There you have a solid bunny. That's or a blended bunny rather. So that's just super easy. Now, well, the great thing about the zigs is if you want them a little bit darker, that's okay. You can go back in and color right over top of what you just colored, if you want him to be just a little bit of a darker gray. So I just went back over again, just scribbling my color down with my marker, and then taking my water brush and blending that color out into the white spaces. And I just use a circular motion to have the color meet in the middle. The reason that I use a circular motion in doing in using my water brush and coloring the image is because these markers act like they're watercolor markers. They act like actual watercolors, kind of as if you were painting. And so sometimes they will leave streaks or lines like a paintbrush would. And I have found that the ability to use a circular motion with this fine tip of this water brush alleviates those lines. Now, some people like those lines. It's kind of what they're going for in using the watercolor markers. And that's absolutely fine. If that's what you're looking for, by all means, go for it. I just kind of like mine to have just a more traditional, almost marker look, like a Copic look, kind of, but not really, if that makes sense. So that's why I kind of prefer to use that circular motion to get those lines blended out. Okay, so now I have him. He's just a little bit darker. He's still blended. He's still got some lighter parts and some darker parts. I put just a tiny little bit of gray in his tail and pulled that out because his tail is going to be white, but I didn't want to leave it just plain white. And then I added a little bit of that peach pink to his nose. For the little terracotta pot that he's standing on, I'm just going to use brown. And I'm just going to kind of color the bottom and the left side because I'm imagining that the sun is coming this way. So I'm pretending the sun's up here and imagining where the darker parts of my image are going to be based on where I have imagined that the sun is. So I'm just quickly pulling this color up. And I am doing this coloring very, very quickly. So it's not perfect, but also at the same time, I want to show you how quickly you can get an image or a card done using these markers. I'm really a huge fan of these markers. And no, I do not get paid by Zig. I just happen to personally love them. I'm not affiliated with them or anyone that sells the Zigs in any way, shape, or form. I just personally, as a crafter, love them. So I put some light green in the grass down here underneath the plant, and I'm just pulling that color down. And now our little bunny is colored. I'm going to quickly move on to the mailbox, and I used gray, just regular gray, for the actual mailbox. And I'm just going to put some color down, just scribble some color down with my marker. And then again, we'll be using my water brush to do all that blending work for me. Okay, so that looks good. And now I'm just going to take the water brush, and again, and using a circular motion, I'm going to be pulling that color out and filling up that white space with the color. It's just going to be a bit lighter, which is what you want. So here we go. We're just pulling this out, pulling it up from the lines that we've created. I'm going to squeeze a little bit of water. It's getting a little dry, so I'm going to squeeze a little bit onto my paper towel from my water brush. That just makes the water flow out a little bit heavier. And when you have larger spaces like this, it's helpful to sometimes squeeze out your water brush a little bit to get that color flowing a little bit better. I tend to have to do that for larger, more open space like this. Just make sure you have your paper towel handy, because sometimes when you do that, the water can kind of pool a little bit. And so a tip to combat that is you can actually take a clean part of your paper towel and dab your image. So that will take away some of that pooling and leave you with a nice shaded image. So there's the top of the mailbox. I'm going to use dark oatmeal for the wooden kind of base of the mailbox. So I just kind of put some or just kind of made a line right down the middle there. I kind of feel like it would be darkest where the wood meets. And then I will pull the color out with my water brush like we've been doing. Okay, so all I have left to do is the flag, and I chose wine red for the flag because where I assume it's like this everywhere, but here mailbox flags are red, so I wanted to make mine red. All right, and you can see I went out a little bit into the mailbox, and that's because A, I'm doing it really quickly, and B, when you put a dark color like red over top of this, you want to make sure that the first color is dry first, because if you don't, this will happen. It will activate and pull the color out. So I didn't do that, and that's why I got some bleeding there, but that's okay. I'm just sort of doing this for demonstration purposes. I'm not going to actually make my card with these images, so that was sort of a learning tip for you. Don't do what I do. Take your time, and again, when you go back in with those dark colors, make sure the lighter colors are dry first. For this envelope that he's going to be mailing, I just used a little light blue. Again, it would be white, but I didn't want to make it just white, so I just put a little bit of blue and then a pink for the heart. And same thing, I got a little bit of bleeding there because I'm not letting the images dry ahead of time, or I mean in between putting the colors down. So just be wary of that, and don't be afraid to use your heat gun. It really works well, and I do that all the time when I'm not on camera, of course, so I don't have to sit there and wait for it to dry. The heat gun dries it up real quick. For the flower, I just used some pink, and then I'm going to use some peach pink again for the little bow for the bunny's hair. And again, I'm just scribbling this color on, pulling it out with my water brush so we have some nice shading. And then finally, I'm using orange for the carrot. And then I'm using light green for the greenery at the top of the carrot. Oops. Okay, so there you have it. There's some coloring mistakes and all. that I've done for you on camera. So now the stamp set has dies that coordinate with it that you can purchase separately. And so what I did off camera is I colored all of these and cut all of these cute little images out so we can go ahead and create our card. So the first thing that I'm going to do is actually I'm going to close up my water brush so I don't make a mess. And then before I start gluing things down, I'm going to go ahead and take some foam tape and go ahead and stick some foam tape on the back of this panel. That way I'm not squishing things when I'm trying to attach it to the back of my card later. So I'm just taking this mega roll of foam tape and using it to help me get my foam tape down on my panel. Okay, so that looks good. Now we're going to turn this over, and the first thing that we're going to do is work with our grass. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take my tape runner and I'm going to put some tape on the back of my grass. And I'm just putting it along the very bottom of the grass. So this will enable me to tuck the top piece of grass in. And you'll see what I mean by that in just a moment. So there's our first layer of grass. Now, for this second layer, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take my tape runner and just put adhesive along the bottom. So I can then pull out this first layer of grass and stick this top layer right down inside of it. It's a little bit tricky because these blades of grass are quite numerous in number and so it can be a little tricky to get everything stuck down, but what might be easier is to just go ahead and remove it from the card base for just a moment and stick it down this way, and I think that that will be easier actually. Yes, okay, so now we have our grass stuck down to each other, and we're going to take our scissors and just kind of trim off what we don't need that's hanging off the bottom. Okay, now we can take, whoops, there's a little bit more right here that we won't need. Okay, now we can take our tape runner again and put tape over where these pieces meet and go ahead and stick it down on our main panel here. All right, there we go. Now, I chose to use dimensionals for some of the main images. So I'm going to take some dimensionals and put them on the back of the mailbox. And then I'm going to adhere the mailbox onto the grass here, kind of like so. And you know what? I better cut a dimensional in half and adhere it to the bottom as well. I thought I could get away with just having them on the top, but that's not going to work. So let's pull that off the bottom there. There we go. Now for my bunny, I'm going to take some sharper scissors and just do a little bit of cutting. And I'm just going to cut a little slit between his paws. And the reason that I'm doing that is I'm going to take the little letter that he is mailing and I'm going to stick it right in his little paws like so. So it's going to look like that. And I just think that is so adorable that it's sticking out. So I'm going to put a little bit of a glue pen on the top of my little envelope and then go ahead and stick that in and let it dry for just a moment. So we're just going to stick that like so. Super, super cute. Oh, that's so cute. Okay, and I'm just going to let that dry for just a moment. So I'm going to work with some other elements quickly. And let's see, let's do some carrots. For the carrots, I did not add dimensionals. I just used my glue pen because I just kind of wanted to slide them in between the blades of grass and just kind of all around on the card base. So I'm going to stick a carrot here. No magic to what I'm doing. I'm just sticking them wherever. Here's another carrot. So we're going to put some glue on this one and stick this, oh, how about here? Again, no magic at all. I'm just kind of sticking them between the blades of grass. And then we'll take another one and stick it, how about here? And then I think I've got a couple more. Kind of went a little crazy on the carrots. They're so cute. And so let me put some glue on the back of this one. And I'll stick it back here. And then finally our last little carrot. And I'm going to stick it. How about right here by the mailbox? All right. Whoops. There we go. Okay. Now I have a few flowers that I did, and I'll show you those in just a moment. These are the cute little flowers. So I'm going to put them just kind of around as well. We'll put one there. Oopsie. Doesn't want to leave my finger because I have glue all over my finger because I'm doing this so quick here. All right, there we go. And then I have a little blue flower that I did. It might be cute to kind of put that around the mailbox there. And then I have one last pink flower that I did. And we'll put it right over here. Kind of pull this up just a little bit. There we go. All right, and that's our little scene. All we have left to do is add our bunny with his little piece of mail. And for him, I am going to use some dimensionals. Whoopsies. Just throwing stuff all around today. So I'm going to put some dimensionals here on this. And I am going to use the one that I cut in half. I'm going to use the other half of that one and put it on the little piece of mail as well. Okay, so now we just need to peel the backing off. Okay, and then we're just going to stick him just in front of the mailbox there because he's trying to get his little message to someone that he loves, which is so adorable. And then the last little piece is his little hair bow, which we are going to put right there. Now, I don't want to take the time on camera to do it because this video is already kind of long, but the last little part is just to stamp the sentiment. And I actually messed up on my original card sample. I meant to emboss it in black ink with clear embossing powder, and I grabbed my white instead. But I actually thought it came out kind of cool. Hopefully the pictures will show it a little bit better, but it's kind of got this, it's white, so it kind of matches the clouds, and I thought that was kind of neat. Also, on my finished card, I added some Wink of Stella to the flowers, the mailbox, and some other fun places. And then I just adhered the panel to a normal 5.5 by 4.25 card base, and I added some sequins. The sequins happen to be from Pretty Pink Posh, the Friendship Mix. So I just added those around. So I hope that you enjoyed this video and that this will inspire you to take out some of those spring type images and maybe use them for a nice summery card. So here's what we created on camera, and here's the final card. So I hope you enjoyed this today and that this inspires you, and thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll catch you on the next video. Thanks. Bye-bye.